Okay, sometimes the only way a get rid of business is going to survive is to start again. Yeah, I'm talking about a pre-pack liquidation. And the key is you do it in the right manner. And if you do follow the right process, it's completely legal and can give you the best opportunity going forward. Most directors do not even think this is possible, and what I'm going to do, watch to the video to the end, because I'm going to share with you all the secrets about how you can liquidate an insolvent company and start another one and start again debt free. So I'm going to be sharing what is a pre-pack. I'm going to be talking why does a business do it. I'm going to discuss how a director can legally buy back their assets from an insolvent company, start again, and even get some time to pay for them. I'm going to be talking about the benefits and the drawbacks of pre-packs, and I'm also going to give you a real life example of one that we've done recently. And also I'm going to tell you how much is it going to cost and how are you going to pay for it. Remember, Chris Worden, Director First. I'm here to support the UK director through insolvency. We offer free, independent and impartial advice. So if you're struggling to pay back your HMRC, bounce back loan, CBILS, get in touch with me today. So finally, I'll answer a few of the most common questions that I get from directors who are looking to do something like this. So what is a pre-pack? A pre-pack is where a director of a limited company that's become insolvent. Now remember, insolvency means you can't afford to pay your debts when they fall due. So if you're on a time to pay arrangement with the HMRC, it's a sign you're insolvent. Or if you can't afford to pay your corporation tax bill or your PAYE or your VAT bill, it's a clear sign you're insolvent. Another sign you're insolvent is your liabilities are more than your assets. That's insolvent on a balance sheet basis. Or someone's taking legal action against you. The threat of a winding up petition shows that you're insolvent. If any of these three things apply to your business, then one of the things you should really look to do is take insolvency advice. And one of the things that will be explained to you is that you can liquidate a business that's become insolvent, and as a director, you can start a new company, and the new company can agree to buy the assets of the old company. It's called a pre-pack, and the director does this before they appoint a liquidator. So it's all done and agreed before you sign your liquidation notices. Now, things you've got to look at really before you go into this is what's the reason? Why has your business become insolvent? And can you fix those reasons in a new company? Will a new business become viable? Or will the new business repeat the same mistakes and you'll end up in the same position again 6, 12, 18 months down the line? But if your business can make some efficiencies, if it can streamline, if it can cut some costs, and you're confident that going forward you can actually make a success, a pre-pack might be just the thing that you need. Now, why did businesses do it? Mainly it's because for whatever reason, they've become insolvent. There's a threat of legal action. You know, the HMRC are really heavy right now with winding up petitions. You know, if a winding up petition gets presented to your business, you've lost control. So another reason is there's market conditions have changed. I mean, let's go back to 2020. We had a global pandemic. We've had the cost of living crisis since. We've had we're in a recession. A lot of business models aren't working anymore. What I'm seeing a lot of right now is businesses who in 2020, 2021, they were gearing up, they were going great guns. They've took on a lot of expensive debt, they've invested in staff, they've invested in systems and products, and in 2023 and 2024 sales have fell off a cliff. But they've still got to service all this expensive debt, and that's killing them. Another reason why people might go into a pre-pack is the restructuring. So there might be a number of parts to a business, and one part stops working, which brought in a significant amount of revenue. Well, the best thing for them to do is to start again and restructure and focus on the part that's making the money. So I want to talk to you about how you can legally buy back your business assets from an insolvent company. Okay? So when you're a director, you can sell whatever you want in that business as long as you sell it for market value. So let's say that you're considering a pre-pack, you would speak to an agent, okay? An agent, you want to keep the insolvency firm involved with this process, tell them what you're planning on doing, but you can speak to an agent and ask the agent to come down and give you a valuation report for insolvency purposes, okay? Now that valuation report will have two values. It'll have an in situ value and an ex situ value. An in situ basically means that's the value of this business as it is in situ. Nothing's getting changed, nothing's getting moved. An ex situ value is the value that would be raised from your business if you was to sort of say, you know what, I've had enough of this, and the agent then has to take your stock, take your assets, take it to auction and get the best price. So your ex situ value is normally a lot less from your in situ value. Now if you're considering doing a pre-pack liquidation and you get an agent to value business in situ and ex situ, and you basically sell the assets of your business to your new company close to the in situ value, it's going to be very, very hard for an insolvency practitioner to criticise you doing that, because you're buying the assets for what they're worth, okay? Remember, when you're going through this process, it's important to get advice so someone can hold your hand through the process. This is exactly what we do at Director First. We make sure that every step of the way you've got somebody to talk to and to advise you. Now, that's in essence what a pre-pack is. You agree to buy your assets, you sell them to your new company before you liquidate, and then you're liquidating it essentially as a shell with a lot of debt because the assets have been valued and transferred to your new company. You have a sale and purchase agreement, and you raise an invoice from your insolvent business to your new company for the amount that they're going to pay for them, and the new company will pay the liquidator for those assets generally over a period of time. You'd have to speak to the liquidator and ask them how long can you get to pay those assets over. They're going to want a deposit down of some sorts, and you might be able to get 3 months, 6 months. In certain cases you might even get 9 months to pay for the assets, and as long as you pay for them on time, the liquidator collects the money in, the creditors get some return, you can then trade on in your new business debt free, and you've taken everything that's good out of your company into the new company. So obviously there are a lot of benefits to doing a pre-pack, but before to give a bit of balance, I'm going to have to tell you about some of the drawbacks, because you're going to be going into insolvency, and when you go into insolvency, an insolvency practitioner is going to do a conduct, an investigation into you as a director and what's gone wrong. If you've got any overdrawn director's loan accounts, you're going to be asked to repay them back to the company. Now, an overdrawn loan account is where a director owes the company some money. If the company owes you money and you go into a pre-pack, sadly, one of the drawbacks is the money that you're owed will be written off. You will not be able to take it back. But if you owe the company money, that could be even more problematic, because the insolvency practitioner is duty bound to try and recover that money from you on liquidation. So let's say you owe 40 grand in the director's loan and you go into liquidation, the liquidator is going to ask you to pay that back. Now lots of directors, they don't even know what a director's loan account is. This is news to them. So it's important before you make any decisions on going into this type of process, you understand if you've got an overdrawn director's loan account. So where are you going to find out that? You're going to see it in your last set of accounts. It'll be in the assets or the debtors side, or there might even be a section that says overdrawn loan directors current accounts. But that's probably not going to be sufficient, because your accounts will be a snapshot of your business 12, 18 months ago. You need up-to-date figures, accurate figures on your overdrawn loan account, and you'll find them in Xero, Sage, QuickBooks, on a balance sheet or a trial balance, if you put accurate information into your software. If you don't do any of that, that's where you could be in real trouble, because we're just guessing. Perhaps we need to do a transactional analysis of what's gone out of the bank account since your last set of accounts. But once you understand if you've got a director's loan account or not, it's important to understand what you're going to do about it, because an insolvency practitioner has the discretion to offer you a settlement on your director's loan account, which is where you'll pay less than what it's worth and you'll get some time to pay it. And you're probably thinking, well, what's my settlement going to be? It does depend. If you're in rented accommodation with no realisable assets and very little disposable cash, An insolvency practitioner won't be able to justify suing you, and they'll write it off. If you've got a house with hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of equity in, it's highly likely you're going to be able to pay most of that director's loan account back. Because if you don't agree to pay it back over a certain period of time, and you'll still get a discount, the insolvency practitioner could make you bankrupt, because in a bankruptcy they might be able to get all their money back for the creditors. So dead important, do not move ahead on whatever you're doing until you've understand your director's loan position, what you're going to do about it. That's exactly what we do here at Director First. We help you understand your options and exactly what you're going to do next, because going into liquidation can open a can of worms for certain directors. Now, no one can sweep it under the carpet, so it's important that you understand what this is going to cost you and exactly how you're going to pay for it. Now, another downside is you can't lose tax losses. If you've got any tax losses in the business that you use for tax purposes, they'll disappear in a liquidation. They go, you won't be able to carry them forward into the new company. Another downside to a pre-pack is your creditors are going to lose money. If you're struggling to pay creditors on time, then it's highly likely that they're struggling as well. You know, if you're not paying, that's going to cause a cash flow problem in their business. Now, the reality, since HMRC become a preference creditor, which after charge holders, that means any realisations from a liquidation goes to the HMRC, your smaller suppliers aren't going to get paid. That's not great for them and it's not good for you. Personal guarantees are also going to be called in. If you go into liquidation, they're all going to ask you to repay the personal guarantee. But the solution to that is restructuring those personal guarantees. It's not as bad as it sounds. All of the lenders and suppliers and institutions, they just want their money back. So they'll allow you to restructure those loans over a longer period of time. The key thing is making sure this new business is profitable enough to keep up to debts of servicing those personal guarantees. But listen, there are a lot of advantages to a pre-pack. If you believe that this business can be successful without a legacy debt, obviously all unsecured debts are written off. VAT, corporation tax, PAYE, bounce back loan, most C-bills, most RLS loans, supplier debts, all of that goes in. If you have to make staff redundant and you can't pay the redundancy, then the redundancy payments office will step in and pay staff redundancy. It gives you a fresh start. Now, I'm doing this video in May 2024, and I don't know about you, but the economic outlook right now is really bleak. So we can't promise this that it's going to be sunshine and lollipops going forward, but sometimes a pre-pack will give your business the very best start going forward. You can, just to mention that if you want to take all your staff over to the new company, that's easy to do. You can pay them over and protect all their employment rights. Listen, I hope you found this video on pre-packs really helpful. If you've got any questions, let me know. But before I go, I'm going to give you some questions that I get all the time. Right, Chris, can I be a director again if I liquidate? Yeah, 99% of cases you're not going to get disqualified from running another company. Now, there are circumstances where you are going to get disqualified, so it's something you want to cover with an insolvency practitioner before you make a decision. Another thing is can I use the same or a similar company name? It depends. There's a thing called Section 216, and that stops you using the same of a similar name than a business you're about to liquidate. You'll be prohibited from using it for 5 years. But there are 3 exceptions. Number 1 is you apply to courts. I don't suggest you do this. It's quite timely and quite costly. There's easier ways that I'm going to come on to. Number 2 is you agree to buy the name from the liquidator. Most company names have very little value. It's not like Amazon or Ralph Lauren. It's just your company name. It only has a value to you. So if you offer to pay the liquidator, say £500 plus VAT, they'll accept that. You pay it on the day of liquidation, and then what you do is you advertise the fact that you've bought that company name in the London Gazette. It'll cost you about £180, and you'll send some letters out to the creditors of the company to let them know that you've bought the name. That will get you around using the same or a similar name. The third way that you could use the same or a similar name is you've already got a trading company that's been trading over 12 months with the same or a similar name. Now, if you don't follow any of that process and you just use the same or similar name, it's highly likely an insolvency service will be giving you a knock at the door, and the consequences of that are quite severe. I also get asked, will I be able to get a new VAT number? Yeah, of course you will. When you set up a new company, you request a new VAT number. People get asked, will I be able to open a new bank account? Absolutely. You can be the director of as many companies as you want, as long as you keep up to date with your fiduciary responsibilities. Now, you're probably going to know, what's all this going to cost? Now remember, to liquidate a small company in the UK, 4 or 5 grand plus VAT, and on top of that you're going to have to buy your assets. But when you're buying your assets, you'll be able to negotiate time to pay with the insolvency practitioner in most cases. The clear information on all my videos is to get everything out up front on day one, so there's no hidden surprises. If you want some advice on insolvency, on pre-packs, on liquidation, on administration, please get in touch with me. My name's Chris Worden and I'm from Director First. Bye bye.